Level 1. The Populist. You start as the outsider. You say what others are afraid to say. You criticize corruption. You attack elites. You expose failures of the system. People are tired. Tired of slow progress. Tired of complicated policies. Tired of being ignored. You don't create division. You identify it and give it direction. You speak in simple terms. Us versus them. Ordinary people versus the powerful. Truth versus lies. And suddenly, you're not just a candidate, you're a symbol. Crowds grow larger, clips of your speeches spread online, supporters defend you aggressively, you win. It feels like victory for the people. But governing is different from campaigning. Now there are procedures, opposition parties, independent courts. Journalists asking uncomfortable questions. Progress feels slow. And slow progress feels like weakness. You convince yourself, if I had just a little more authority, I could fix everything faster. So, you pass emergency reforms, temporary expansions of executive power for efficiency, for stability, just until things improve. But power, once expanded, rarely shrinks. Level 2, shaping reality. You realize something critical. Control of policy is important. Control of perception is everything. You don't attack the media directly at first. You question them. You accuse them of bias, of hidden agendas, of working against the people your supporters repeated, trust declines. Then you introduce reforms, new licensing requirements, new broadcasting regulations, stricter defamation laws, nothing extreme, just enough pressure. Some outlets comply, some are quietly purchased by allies, some shut down under financial strain. But you don't eliminate all criticism. That would create martyrs. Instead, you create noise, endless debates, conflicting reports, distractions. People stop searching for truth. They choose the version that aligns with their emotions, and you feed those emotions carefully. Now, headlines don't shape your power shapes the headlines. But information alone isn't security. You need something deeper. You need insight. Level 3. The age of surveillance. You introduce a national security initiative. It's popular. People fear instability. You promise protection. Advanced city cameras are installed. Data sharing agreements expand. Digital all-body D systems become mandatory. You say it's for safety. And technically, it is. Crime drops slightly. Emergency response improves. But behind the scenes, something else happens. Algorithms begin mapping behavior. Who attends protests? Who associates with activists? Who donates to opposition groups? You're not reading messages personally. You're reading patterns. Patterns reveal influence. Influence reveals risk, and risk must be managed. You don't arrest thousands. You target dozens. Strategically, a journalist faces tax charges, an activist is investigated, a business owner loses contracts. Each case looks isolated, coincidental, but everyone notices, and people adjust. They delete posts, avoid certain topics, stop attending rallies. The public space grows quieter, not because everyone agrees, but because everyone calculates. You now possess something older dictators never had. Data. And data doesn't need violence. It needs access. Still, one institution stands slightly apart. The military. Historically powerful. Potentially unpredictable. And you know history well. Level 4. Loyalty above all. You begin restructuring the security apparatus, not dramatically, gradually. You create a rapid response internal force. You expand National Guard authority. You establish special security units reporting directly to your office. Promotions depend on loyalty. not just competence. You rotate generals regularly. No one stays powerful long enough to build independent influence. You revise constitutional rules. Term limits are reconsidered. Judicial appointments accelerate. Electoral oversight bodies are reformed. All legal, all procedural. From the outside, it still resembles democracy, but inside the system, the balance shifts. Opposition leaders struggle to register parties. Permits for protests are delayed. Investigations surface at convenient times. International observers express concern. You dismiss them as foreign interference. National sovereignty becomes your shield. Meanwhile, your inner circle shrinks. You trust fewer people. Not because you are paranoid, because you understand incentives. The higher you climb, the greater the temptation for someone to replace you. So you build redundancy. Multiple intelligence agencies monitor each other. Security forces overlap jurisdictions. No single entity becomes strong enough to challenge you. And now you no longer rely on popularity. You rely on structure. The system protects you. But it also binds you to it. Because if you step away, the structure might collapse. And with it, your safety. Level 5, absolute control. Years pass, elections still happen, campaigns still exist, but outcomes are predictable. Opposition candidates participate carefully. Media coverage remains energetic and within limits. The country appears stable, orderly, efficient. Foreign investors return. Public infrastructure improves. And that is the final layer. Performance. A modern dictatorship doesn't survive on fear alone. It survives on results. You ensure economic growth remains acceptable. You maintain visible development because citizens tolerate control if their daily lives feel manageable. But control has a cost. You wake up earlier, sleep lighter. You rotate personal staff frequently. You test loyalty constantly. You plant false information occasionally just to see who leaks it. Because absolute power has a hidden rule. Everyone smiles at you. But no one speaks freely. You miss honest conversations. You miss uncertainty. You miss opposition because opposition once validated your victories. Now there is only agreement. An agreement is silent. You cannot resign. Too many decisions, too many classified operations, too many people who would seek revenge if you became vulnerable. Stepping down is not retirement, it is exposure. So you remain. Not because you crave power anymore, but because leaving is more dangerous than staying. And that is the final transformation. You started as a reformer, became a protector, then a controller. Now you are something else entirely. A guardian of a system that cannot exist without you, but also cannot release you. From the outside, your country still has elections, still has news, still has institutions. It doesn't look like a dictatorship because modern control is subtle. It is embedded in data streams and in licensing laws, in algorithmic visibility, in selective enforcement. There are no tanks in the streets. There doesn't need to be, because by the time people realize the balance has shifted, the balance is already permanent. And the most dangerous part? It all began with applause.